Okay, let me review that. No, not really. We're already up to here. So let's go over the Shivambu wisdoms, Ben. They're also the key points, and I put together a chart and emailed it to everybody. It's a way to shorten your explanation to people without having to go into a whole seminar. Number one, it's intuitive medicine. What does that mean to you guys?
Your body tells you what to do and when to do it.
Mm-hmm. Is there a certain function, or is there a certain compartment of your body? I had to figure out the word. Is there a certain compartment of your body that runs the guidance system of your body? It's called intuition. All right. So your intuition is going to guide you through every experience you go through in life, whatever arises in you, and how to use your water. At some point, people start telling us that their water is their guidance system. It tells you what protocol to use, it tells you how much to drink, it tells you when to fast, and basically it's working with your guidance system so your journey comes out right. All right, number two, Shivambu. Are you familiar with that word yet, Ben?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a member of the Shivambu hunt.
Oh, congratulations. We just had a 90-year-old join us. His name is
Wow.
Frank Benning, and he came to our Shivambu retreat 4 weeks ago in Oceanside, California. And he's 90 years old. He does urine therapy. He goes golfing like 5 days a week. He rides a bicycle. He's a swimmer. So you can be ageless at 90. All right, what am I on? Number two? Number two, it alchemizes everything it touches. Meaning, whatever it touches, it's going to neutralize it, sterilize it, and raise its vibration. Here's an example, Ben. People will say, well, what happens when I gargle because I have oral health and I need to help my gums and my teeth and my tongue, whatever it is? Do you spit it out? The answer is no, because as you recall, it will raise the vibration, it'll sterilize it, neutralize it, alchemize it, transform, whatever you want to call it. In essence, it merges with the Shivambu, and that's when you swallow it.
Yeah, once about 3 months ago, I had some that was probably 4 months old, and I swished a big mouthful while I was in the shower, and it took a whole layer of skin off the inside of my mouth. So I've started measuring the pH of it, and some of it goes up to like 11 or more pH. So you gotta be careful not to swish that in your mouth too long. So now I mix like about a quarter of a little medicine cup of aged with fresh, and then swish my mouth with it.
Okay, and then what happened? What's the result at that point?
I think it's like I had a bike accident, a really bad bike accident, probably about 15 years ago, and like smashed my face into the ground. And since then, my neck and mouth has been tighter, and it's kind of recessed some of the tooth line between the dentin and my, where the I'm blanking on the.
Take a breath. Take a breath.
Where the enamel meets the dentin at the gum line.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems like it's made my gums a little more healthy.
Okay, well, yeah, if you keep doing gargling, swishing, and things with oral health, as well as massaging it over your jaw, outside of your skin.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when we talked about all the protocols, there's a lot of things you can do other than oral to speed up the healing process. So whatever injury you've had that's still in place, whatever inflammation, whatever kind of trauma is still stored in the tissues, gets regenerated. Okay.
Yeah, maybe you covered it already, but it seems like there's not a clear like among the urine therapy people, there's not a clear distinction of whether you should throw the sediment away or use it or not. But I don't know. I don't understand why you would throw away the sediment in it. And I thought about actually keeping the sediment to gargle my mouth with, because I thought maybe there's more calcium in it and it would make a better mouthwash.
It definitely has more calcium and more magnesium and more potassium and on it goes. And I would like to ask Ane to address the sediment question.
Right. um, So this is my, I think, a day or two aged, we say evolving, and it's got a bunch of crystals, and I can see it forming at the bottom. And the sediment, Brother Sage in a previous class suggested that as you drink the rest of the jar, you can keep the sediment at the bottom and it'll dry. And what was recommended was you can just pour, evolving or fresh urine in the bottom and swish it around and scull that back. So that's an easy way of consuming the sediment. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Can you hold it in a different part of the camera? Because it looks real soft and faded. Closer to your face.
No.
It
blurs.
Okay, you can see it right there. What you're looking at is trillions of concentrated stem cells.
Mm-hmm. One challenge I've had is I have some aged stuff out in the sun, and I have to take the fabric off and put a lid on it every day and shake it up, or the sediment just sticks to the glass, and then you can't remix it into the urine anymore.
Into the water. Well, if you decide to let it dry, say you pour most of it out or all of it out, and whatever's lining the glass, if you let that dry, a lot of people consider that as white ormus gold.
So what do you use it for then?
Well, you're going to use it for healing and for personal transformation. This is the same kind of substance that the alchemists like Saint Germain discussed, was ormus gold. So what some people do is they dry it out. Where's my sample? They dry it out and then they scrape it out and they either put it back into their ore to make it even more potent, or they'll snort it. So it can become dried powder if you have a thin layer.
Yeah, I've been using half-gallon jugs that have like the milk jug lid, so the only way I can clean it out is use vinegar or something to dissolve it. So
yeah, or what I do is I don't clean my jars. I just put in more urine.
Yeah, I guess eventually you get a real thick layer of sediment in it then.
Yeah, or you'll scrape it off, or you'll come up with a new idea you haven't thought of yet.
Yeah.
That's the beautiful thing about this water, is that it guides you to even come up with protocols that I haven't figured out. Like this gal right here. She came up with 2 protocols at the last class, and I'd never heard of them. So you never know who's going to come up with the next one. All right, number 3. Hi. Is this a relative?
That's my wife, Sally.
I'm looking for my headphones. I'm sorry.
Right here.
No problem. You going to join us?
Oh, no, I wasn't. I'm going to call my mom.
All right. You know what kind of hobby your husband's into?
Yeah, we know. It's okay. We all have our things, That's good.
Amen.
Come on, Preston.
I like her. She's great. All right. So, number 3. Shivambu works regardless of your considerations or your beliefs about it. And what I mean by that, Ben, is it works whether it's male urine you use, male urine, female urine, a man's, a woman, a child, an adult, an old person, a young person, someone from a different race or a different species, like a pet, a cat, a dog, a horse, out in India, cows, camels, and so forth. It works because it's a universal panacea, and we've seen this time and time again, where people gave it to their dogs and their dog's health recovered. People gave it to their 5 and 7-year-old child and their health recovered. Are you with me? Do you understand what that means now?
Yeah.
And I've been showing that to my students by drinking their urine in classes and at retreats, that it works for both genders. You're not going to get too much estrogen or too much testosterone. That's just another limiting belief. But what it does is it boosts and increases your immunity. So I have like the immunity of 12 people. Pretty cool. All right. Any questions on that?
Yeah, I read somewhere, I can't remember which previous society it was or where I read it, but they said they had like in the city, they had a place where everybody would go pee and then everybody could use the urine from them.
Yeah, was this during ancient Rome or Greece or one of the older cultures?
Yeah.
I think that I saw a picture of one of those in Rome. They had public urinals. And they would recycle the urine, and they would actually tax people. It feels like a Roman thing. How crazy. All the people have to do is don't pee publicly. I mean, you could go against that really simple. All right, number 4, which Annie had spoken on, it's an evolving orin. It evolves. I don't use the word aged and aging because it tends to, people associate that with someone who's getting old and losing their strength or their mind, and they're going to die. So it evolves just like we as humans evolve, and we learn and we grow and we become even better than we were yesterday. Hopefully you guys are getting there. What am I on? Number 4, number 5, saturation dosing. Have you heard of that term, Ben?
Yeah, I mean, I've read the passage about it in your book a few times, and I don't really understand. Like, if I loop it all day long, am I saturation dosing, or does that mean they also have like the dehydration chart where you can see how dark your urine is and how hydrated or dehydrated you are?
Mm-hmm. Well, you got the great beginnings of saturation dosing, but my reference to saturation dosing is including more of the topical or external protocols in with your daily practice so that you can work on getting more nutrients driven into the bloodstream in all the areas like up in the nose and up into the brain and into the lymphatics and everywhere else that takes a lot longer from just drinking.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're doing orin massages, when you're doing foot soaks, when you're doing enemas, you're going deeper into the system and addressing any kind of inflammation, any kind of trauma, anything else that's stored in the body that takes a lot longer for the drinking to address.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at it as a form of personal insurance, by getting in the habit of saturation dosing, you're going to prevent and or cure any compromise to your immune system or any illness. It's free health insurance.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Number 5. Number 6. The only thing you cannot heal is what you tell yourself you cannot heal. You understand that idea, Ben?
Yeah, I think it can be hard to change your belief about what you can heal or what you can't heal unless you see it, or I don't know.
All right. Take a breath. We're going to upgrade real quick right now. All right, the only thing you cannot heal is what you say not kind of heal. If you say that you're limited or it's difficult, you're telling the universe it's going to be difficult and hard for you.
Mm-hmm.
If we tell ourselves and affirm and declare that it's easy and that you can surrender, trust, and go with the flow, watch how life can be more magical.
Yeah, I agree on that. I just mean in general, like when you're talking to another person, if you tell them that they can heal anything or do anything if they believe it subconsciously, I guess. But then it's hard to convince people that that's true, or at least it seems to me it is.
Yeah, I can feel you on that one. I would ask the question when I'm working with my clients: are you open to the possibility of healing this condition today?
Yeah.
Are you open to the possibility of healing this condition? We won't even put up a timeline. And if
Mm-hmm.
you get a yes, then their mind is open to hearing what you have to say, with the possibility that maybe you're onto something.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you gotta offer that possibility to people, and they never would have considered it, and they're going to feel like they're a victim their whole life.
I've thought of the question or seen it or read it where it's like, if you ask them to, it's like, if this was your choice, which, ultimately it is,
Yep.
to experience this illness, what do you get from it and why have you chosen it?
Mm-hmm.
And then that makes them think, oh, well, maybe I like playing the victim, or
I love the attention.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Ben, does that make any sense?
Yeah, I was listening to a book recently, and they said people like to be a victim because they like the attention, and they mistake they mistake attention for love. So and also I think some people like being a victim becomes their identity and who they are. So it can be kind of hard to change.
Yeah. But this group is filled with victors. So our job, someone who's got our act together, or who is trusting the source or following the inner light, uh, our work is to stay calm and centered for people who come to us in our life that don't know this stuff, but they're seeking answers. They're seeking a better life, and you show up in their life and you point the light. Now I got to warn people because there are folks that call themselves healers. And that's an ego trap because you take the power and the responsibility away from your clients. Our job is to facilitate them in making their own choices and doing their work. Our work is our work, and their work is their work. And people cross the line all the time and try to do work for other people. How does
Yeah.
that work? How does that work for you guys?
Yeah, it makes sense to me.
Not too good. All right. The last thing about Shivambu wisdoms is that Shivambu is in a category all unto itself, which means in our limited mind as a human being, we're trying to explain the infinite in a context that people can understand it, uh, and doing a pretty good job of it. Because people try to fit it into the medical model, they try to fit it into the holistic model, they try to fit it into a different model, and it seems to be beyond all those models. It has a life force and intelligence all to itself. All right, any questions or comments? We're going to move up into, protocols. You've seen, now you've read the book, Ben? Or read in some of the book?
Yeah, I've read the book probably a couple times. I've watched a number of these urine therapy class videos on YouTube too. So
Okay. So you get an idea. There's a whole variety of topical protocols. And thanks to Tanya, up until we had this class, I only knew of 24 protocols, but she bumped up the list to 26. Thank you, Tanya. Yes, and so you will learn these either in the books or if you go back to YouTube and review some of these recordings from these classes, then you can pick them up. Any question? Without me going over all the protocols.
I had one about enemas. Like people ask how much volume you should do, or like I usually do about a half gallon at a time, but I just do one. But some people seems like they do a quart and then do like 4 doses. But I don't know if there's a. It seems like to get it throughout the whole colon, it would be better to do a bigger volume at once. But
Yes. Once again, it's one of those intuitive calls here. What I
yeah,
tend to do is I make a gallon of mixed, fresh, and evolved. And then if I want it warm enough so it's not that cold shock when you stick it up your bum, then I'll add some hot water. All right. So that is equivalent to about 4 or 5 full bags.
yeah,
Right. So I got the whole bathroom set up with the towel on the floor and with the thing hanging off the towel rack with the tube already lubricated, and I'm ready to insert and go through the whole song and dance. And I'll go through a whole gallon. It's about 5 rounds, and it takes me 45 minutes, including clean up the bathroom and the equipment.
so you leave it in for like 10 minutes a time or something, or
No, I leave it in until I have to really get up and sit on the toilet.
so you
And
put the whole gallon. You put the whole gallon in, or
no,
okay.
the enema bag is only about 2 quarts.
Uh-huh. Oh, okay. So
1.5 to 2 quarts. So I put in as much as I can possibly hold without, letting loose on the floor,
yeah,
and then get up and evacuate and go back and do it again. The whole idea is to loosen up the rectum and the sigmoid, where all the muscle contraction and expansion takes place,
hmm,
so that you're relaxed enough and you don't need the enemas anymore. But what I noticed in my personal use, last year I went through nonstop one every day for 2 years. I want to know how deep you can go with this enema thing, and found out there was things in there I couldn't identify. Things had been inside my intestines my whole life. I mean, even though I was doing raw foods for umpteen decades, not everything comes out all the time. So I think it's just a maintenance thing. People should do spring cleaning, or when you're guided to do a series, do a series. But it's intuitive. No one's going to give you a set answer. Does that make sense?
hmm. Yeah, I would do an enema like, I just have a stainless steel thing that holds a half gallon.
Mhm.
And then I would just cover my whole body with like 3, 4 month old aged. But then my wife and kids say, oh, this bathroom smells like a, smells like a truck stop urinal or something.
Yep.
So,
Yep. So what did you do to improve the smell of the bathroom?
well, I didn't do I haven't been doing the topicals much, but I have some like 2-year-old age that I was using. I put just a little bit of lavender oil in it, and then it just kind of smells like lavender. But
It smells like a bouquet, a
yeah,
spa. What I found helpful now, my housemate took issue with it, but not her husband because he's a student of mine.
uh-huh,
I could feel his support standing up when she's going, but your lifestyle, maybe you should consider moving, blah, 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 blah. And so he was like trying to stand up for her, but stand up for me. So she's burning scented candles all over the place. And what I discovered is that if I took essential oil like lemon oil or peppermint oil and put it in the bathroom, you can't smell anything but the essential oil. However, the trick is to put it down low because the volatile oils rise. So I'd put it on the wood floors.
uh-huh.
And the smell of lemon would permeate the bathroom and you couldn't smell it.
Hmm.
So if it's lavender, make it lavender. All right, everybody breathe. We're going to open up a book here. Now, what we typically do in these classes, Ben, did I answer your question? Did you have one more question, anybody?
Oh no.
Okay.
Yes, I'd like to know more about the 2-year enema quest.
Go in a little more detail.
Yeah.
Oh, what I did for 2 years.
More details.
Yeah,
I want more details.
something happened to me. I don't say this publicly very often, but I had a hernia operation in 2015, and I have a feeling when the doctor went in, what happened? It was inguinal hernia, and the thing would like pop out. It was really weird. And so he cuts it and he does his operation and decides to put in a mesh screen on the right inside the groin. He says, well, why don't we just put one on the left side just to make sure nothing breaks loose on either side. And I got a feeling he fucked up my intestines because my gut never relaxed. It never felt the same, even though I've been living off fruit and Shivambu and raw spirulina, occasional salads. That was still compacted. So I decided, well, let's just hit it hard. And I did that for 2 years. And I'm still adjusting, but a lot of that was worked out.
Yeah, I think sometimes people get adhesions, so some of the bowel adheres to the surgical site.
Mm-hmm.
And you see that on like CAT scan and stuff.
Yeah, so that's why I did the 2-year marathon, Tanya.
And you think that something eventually came out?
Or loosened up, or
Yeah, I think it loosened up. I can tell because I'm peeing better because it was also pushing on the prostate. So I was thinking, do I have a large prostate? I'm over 40. Could that be it? But I found that now I've got the pattern of when I have bowel movements. When I get up at 4:30, 5:30 in the morning, boom, here it is. I'm on the toilet 3 or 4 rounds. And if things don't happen in a certain pattern and cycle, I pull out the enema bag. But that's how my body seems to communicate with me. And some people have done long extended enemas because they do have issues in their prostate. They have issues with their bowels. They have issues with their spine. They have issues with the uterus, whatever it is. This is an opportunity for you to get your health back on your own terms.
Mm.
And you don't have to run out and find a colon therapist.
mm-hmm.
Which are awesome. If you can find a colon therapist who's into this kind of practice, who will put Orin inside the colonic machine, I would go to them.
I went to a retreat in Costa Rica where they would continuously pump in, I think it was salt water for like 40 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just feel like you have to go like maybe every 5-10 minutes. But I couldn't believe how much stuff I got out then. I must have lost like 10 pounds in 40 minutes. But
yeah. By any chance, was this connected to Victoras Kovinskas?
no, it was a place called Rhythmia.
Okay, because he's got a retreat in Costa Rica. Okay, so what we're going to do, like we've done in the last couple of classes, Ben, now I've got nothing pressing for me after 12:30. So if you guys want to quit at 12:30 or go stay a little longer, Ben or anybody, you're welcome to do that today. But what we've been doing is taking a break around 11:15, which is whatever time it is in your location.
Mhm.
It's going to be about a half an hour from now.
Uh-huh.
We take a 5 to 8 minute break. Everybody go do whatever you want, and then we come back and we carry on from there. Okay, grab your books. Grab your books. Our PDFs. We're going to chapter number 8.
Let me go grab my book.
Okay. Yay, Ben's got a support group now. Ben, you got a support group, and I want you to take advantage of not only the students in these courses, but the Shivambu Hut members, because it's a safe place. You can talk about this subject and get answers that you can't normally get from your family or from society. Or just call up Anae out there in Oregon, and she'll walk you through it.
Mhm.
I want to see if she's paying
And the
attention.
message. I just want to share a quick miracle, by the way, guys, because there was someone, a friend, who heard about UT around 7 months ago and just messaged yesterday to say I'm open to having a talk about it with me. So I'm like, yay, success stories.
And we're going to hear more on that. And like I've said many times, guys, roll up your sleeves. If this is a calling, you're going to be put to work, and the universe is waiting for people to stand up and be willing to teach. So you're in good company. Oh, I said it again. All right, chapter 8. They just come out that way, like drops of golden. All right, you golden ones. We're on page 140 or chapter 8. And Ben, would you honor us by reading?
The whole chapter? Or?
Yeah, the whole chapter. And at some point, when you get to, yeah, that's only up to page 143.
Oh.
What happens is when the students read, is there's something that stands out that I need to give it a little more understanding, then I'll raise my hand or something and interrupt you.
Okay. I'm not the best reader, so you'll have to bear with me.
Yeah, there's no problem. Go ahead.
You and your client can only succeed when you are of service, when you guide, mentor, and are not a personality, ego, or identity who is seeking praise or has an attachment to the outcome. Urine therapy teachers never make promises of healing with the client. The ultimate responsibility of healing with UT rests in the mind of the client. Give your best and expect the best. One of the most interesting pieces of information on urine that I came across in the fact that amniotic fluid that surrounds a human infant in the womb is primarily urine. The infant breathes in urine-filled amniotic fluid continuously. Without this fluid, the lungs don't develop. Doctors believe that the softness of the baby's skin and the ability of in utero infants to heal quickly without scarring after birth, after pre-birth surgery, is due to the therapeutic properties of the urine-filled amniotic fluid.
So Ben,
yeah,
it seems that more and more people are getting memories of being in the womb.
mm-hmm.
More and more people have said, I remember being in mom's belly. I remember sloshing around and drinking my pee and, getting bathed and massaged. It's very deep. You can remember anything. If you've done a lot of conscious breath work, you can go back to not only time in the womb, but conception, preconception, and if your parents were discussing whether they wanted a boy or a girl, all these ideas and memories are stored in us. But
Mm-hmm.
most people don't know how to unlock them.
Yeah, I've done some breath work, but I went to an iboga retreat a couple weeks ago and had a memory of when I was a couple days old. And then I talked to my dad and he was like, oh man, that happened to me.
He verified it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So all this stuff is available. Please continue reading.
Okay. UT works for some and not for everyone. Why? Healing is more complex than just drinking urine. Improving the diet, fasting, cleansing, right thinking, gratitude, healthy emotions, and spiritual or self-love practices will boost Shivambu benefits. Understand? People who are miserable inside or self-destructive have much more work to do than do grateful, joyous people. Motivated people do really well with Urine Therapy. A well-trained or intuitively sensitive UT therapist will make inquiries into all areas of the client's life and design a well-rounded program that accelerates, deepens, and brings results. Detailed questioning is more thorough than just advising clients to do UT protocols and wish them well. Taking the time to do follow-ups brings confidence and reassurance to the client as you are working as a team to change, save, and improve a life.
Okay,
Studying and knowing,
Ben, right there. We're talking about who's going to get the most progress. The ones that are motivated, the ones that have a strong why, the ones that are sick of being sick. They're going to do the most good. And when you're working with these people, you've got to let them know more than just you got a lot of information and you're going to spew all this knowledge and wisdom on them. They got to feel that you care about them.
mm-hmm.
If they make a connection with you, they're more likely to do the practice, to make the changes, to improve their life than people who are going, oh yeah, he's just a robot. He's just one of those teachers. So there has to be a human connection. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm talking to this guy again, NA. I got the call this morning from the guy in India who was hung up on his creatine levels. But now he's starting to come around. He says, well, if I just do looping, will I be okay if I just loop? I said, if you don't change anything else in your life, that's going to be incremental changes. It will help a little bit, but if you're still eating crap and you have a negative attitude and da-da-da-da-da, and so he wants me to call him back after class so we can go over that again.
Wonderful teacher, Brother Sage is so patient. And I think the urine helps with patience. Really.
It does. And when you've done this enough times, you come to realize, well, I mean, I'm able to do what I do is because I've worked out a lot of my programming from my childhood and all the crap that I got from religions, the science, and education, blah, blah, blah. So it's almost like I'm at the finish line watching people just get started on the race, and you want to just like help them get to their finish line
Mm-hmm.
without handling it for them. All right, Ben, you got anything else to read there? Page 142.
Studying and knowing the basics of the nutritional profile of urine builds one's skill in making inquiries, addressing concerns, and offering UT protocols suggestions. For example, working with clients who are stressed, exhausted, or have low energy, you may wish to remind them that urine contains nutrients such as melatonin, serotonin, magnesium, DHE, dopamine, L-theanine, phenylalanine, niacin, tryptophan, oxytocin, and B-complex that are well known to support the function of adrenals, glands, nervous system, and brain. Knowing this about urine, of course, is optional and does not affect the outcome or benefit of AUT for a client. It just adds more credibility and respect for the clients who value this type of information. If you feel that in addition to their health condition, they are anxious with concerns about life, your sensitivity and intuition will guide and assist you to help clients more during a session. In this manual, there's articles from UT educators, researchers, and teachers of Shivambu self-healing practices. These are written to help you to design perfect treatment suggestions. In the popular Shivambu Hunt social media network, you can read UT articles and watch related videos, as well as contribute content that is being enjoyed by the members of the Growing Water family at the Hunt. To get a free membership, visit Shivambu Hunt. Entrance portal, and it has a link. To avoid making,
we're almost at 700 members.
Yeah.
It's exciting because it tripled since last year.
Did it really? And that's
Yeah, it was like May of last year. We were about 250 members, and then I get interviewed by Dr. Group out in Houston, and the two of us had joined an alliance of supporting each other's work. He put all my information in our organization on his website and his research, and it's like all of a sudden the membership goes bing, 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 bing. It jumped up to 600 middle of 2022. We're almost at 700, and that's helped the Hut big time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it helps to have more interaction on there if there's more people, it seems like.
Yeah, and I like it when people actually answer each other's posts and they help each other out. All right, Ben, where are we?
By the way, this link doesn't work there.
Which
I
link?
just clicked it. Maybe
Oh, in the
because
book?
what? Yeah, I just clicked the link in there where we read shivambu.org/Shivambu Hut. It doesn't work.
All right, you may want to
Oh,
take off the S in HTTP because that makes it a secured site. Or
no.
or leave that off. Or just go to shivambu.org and you'll find the link to the hut.
Yeah, I just Googled Shivambu hut and it came up.
Nice.
There maybe is no hyphen. Shivambu.
No, there's no hyphen, but that's the way
Ah.
it's printed.
All right. That's why. Yeah.
Okay. But I do like your perfectionism. It's just one way. It's got to be this.
Yeah, it's a Virgo ascendant.
Yeah, it serves you well, sis. All right, Ben. Let's finish up page 143.
Oh, sure. To avoid making claims and keep yourself from any legal matters, always remember that you are not a licensed medical professional who can diagnose and prescribe medications. Study general treatment suggestions, stay on the safe side, and only guide them along their Shivambu journey. Remind them that the body heals itself when given proper nutrients, and those nutrients are absorbed. Mention that their body's innate intelligence custom manufactures a perfect elixir for their specific needs every time. This is most important to know.
All right, perfect. So a really good answer, and you guys might have heard this if you've been on the holistic health or the natural ways journey for your lifetime, is that people will say, is it good for this disease and that condition and this condition and that condition? And the best answer you can give to keep yourself from getting liable or getting any kind of legal entanglements is simply say, I don't know about that. All I know is when I drink my Shivambu, I feel better. I know that's layman's terms and that's like a fifth grade answer, but it's a direct experience and it's a personal testimonial, and it doesn't have you sound like you're a doctor. And anybody else hear that buzz?
Yeah.
What was that? A phone?
It was my notification for Michael Murdad, Unity of Sedona. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. I like Sedona. All right. Any questions so far? Did I cover all that? So we read earlier on the other page, page 142, about when someone says, well, I got this condition going on. If you had a brief education in nutrition, and you know that those nutrients are used for certain health conditions like magnesium and B vitamins and melatonin and serotonin are used for relaxation, calming the emotions and the nervous system. People go to the health food stores or they buy them online all the time. Well, it's in your water. So you can tell them, okay, well, this is what you would do. You're going to drink it. You're going to apply it on this way and that way. And this gives you some kind of another way that you can get a read on people and understand their condition. Any questions?
I was thinking if somebody has a deficiency, like if you're deficient in a certain mineral or something, like say you're deficient in boron or something like that, then even if you drink your urine, it's not going to have something in it if you don't have it in your body. So then wouldn't somebody need to go get tested for all the different levels to know if they're deficient in minerals or nutrients? Or
It's a great question. It's a great question. It comes from an old paradigm that teaches us that we're not okay and we're not complete. The medical model tends to isolate things. They isolate nutrients. They isolate um, synthetic stuff, and they pick it apart. There's 4,000 compounds that have been identified in our urine. It's on a NASA website. It's on a government website. I've seen them in several locations. We probably have the list at the hut. And boron's going to be on the list. The thing is with deficiencies, you don't all of a sudden improve because you've taken an isolated boron supplement. Because all these supplements like calcium, magnesium, they have to work synergistically in order to be more effective on your body. But if you're using 4,000 compounds that include all those supportive nutrients, you're going to do better off on your body than just looking for isolated boron.
Yeah, I also garden, and I've had my soil tested, and I add a lot of kelp and other things to improve the soil. So hopefully I'm not eating as much food that's grown on depleted soil. So.
Zach, thank you for weighing in.
I have like an intuition kind of in that regard with, you know, like if someone's deficient, I don't know, just the intuition kind of tells me that like, well, you still probably have very small amounts. And so if you're like, let's say looping, you're bringing that back in more than you would if you were just wasting your pee, right?
Yes.
And so I think, you know, the more you would do that, the deficiency or the ability to retain those minerals for whatever they're used for in the body would increase over time the more you drink your pee, rather than introducing a singular you know, mineral or whatever you feel like you're deficient in, that it would exponentially maybe grow the more you drink your pee, potentially.
Right. And to me, now I worked in the health food industry for about a dozen or so years, and I was a nutrition consultant at 6 health food stores. And we found out that there's those supplements that contain those isolates are not as effective as the entire plant. Like when you take bioflavonoids and vitamin C out of an orange, you're stripping it of all the supportive nutrients that come with that plant.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that whole mindset of supplements came out of the war when they had to dump all these vitamins on the market because they helped the military men overcome scurvy during the war. So they had all this excess vitamin C, but it was synthetic. They didn't tell the public. And that hasn't changed much in 80 years.
Yeah, I don't. What are your thoughts about salt? Like, I see a number of people like Chris Manley and others that think that you shouldn't eat inorganic salt. So probably a lot of these minerals, also, if they're not organified, I don't know if your body can even utilize them. Or...
Well, the first question I would have is why would you be interested in taking salt? Other than to bring out flavor in food.
Well, from what I've read, the salt was introduced like initially when people grew their own food, like they could taste oh, this is a high quality beets or carrots or whatever. But then when they started marketing food that was grown elsewhere to people, it didn't taste as good. So to be able to convince people to eat it, they started just dumping salt and other stuff on it. And
well, my take on it is that majority of the salt, unless it's dried out of the sea, is from rocks. Himalayan crystal salt, just all kinds of rocks that are crushed down and sold as salt. So you're basically eating rocks.
Yeah.
Crushed rocks. And crushed rocks come from what? Millions of years of being broken down by air and water and time and energy. There could be some, I mean, I think that the salt controversy is right up there with chocolate, cacao, distilled water, coffee. People have to weigh it out and see if it still works for them. I'm not an advocate of pro salt or anti salt. I think it's a personal choice. At some point, you walk away from these things.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I use salt, but in my bath, I very frequently take Epsom salt baths and use like 1 pound to 3 pounds even in my bath. And we did a float tank experience, I don't know, a couple months ago, and that was really amazing. And they put, I don't know how much salt.
It takes like 500 to 800 pounds of Epsom salt for that.
Per tank?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
I just think the intuition is like salt is an intuitive thing. If you're supposed to have salt, you will, and if you're not supposed to, then you're probably just gonna intuitively stay away from it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes I crave it, and then sometimes I just can't stand food that has salt in it. So I guess it's
Yeah. What I do is I pinch a little and put it in my hand and lick it. If I get a yes, I add some. If I don't get a yes, I'm done. And sometimes just
You
that
take a
lick,
shot of your tea, right? You put the salt on your hand.
and you chase it down like tequila. Yeah.
yeah.
I want you guys to make a video on that. That was great.
Well,
So Ben, does that give you any kind of understanding about the salt thing?
Yeah, yes, somewhat. I guess the like they say the jury's still out. I don't know.
I mean, people were doing that with the distilled water. It became controversial because the media and the medical industry was telling you distilled water leaches this out of your body. It's not a form of water. It's not healthy. But yet there's millions and millions of people that are thriving using distilled water, of which this is the highest form of distilled water,
Yeah.
along with glacial water, fruit, uh, and distilled water. So we've had to sort out a lot of the nonsense that we were led to believe was true on this planet.
hmm
So if you're a salt guy, do it moderately and see how long you still feel inclined to use salt. Now, I know a lot of people had a tough time with fruit. I still have friends that go, "Well, I can't eat fruit because of the fruit sugar." I'm going, "Do you know what you're saying here? Because you didn't do your homework. There's glucose that feeds the brain. There's the proper sugar. Why do you think the people have the animals like gorillas that are 400 pounds, all muscle, that live off fruit? They're not worried about sugar."
Yeah.
So we have to sort out a lot of nonsense.
Just in regards to the salt, it's like I'm thinking, well, like, I mean, I really like pepper. I'll load pepper on some of the things that I eat, and I mean, maybe I could easily replace salt with pepper.
There you go. We got a personal choice here and a new recipe. He's going to start adding it to the recipes. All right. Any other questions? You want to keep going or take the break now, and then we'll have a full hour at the end here. All right. We got the timeout from our cheerleader.
Okay.
I'm going to turn off the recording, and you guys.
you're welcome.
By the way, you're out of the virtual world. You look like you're in a car now.
Yeah, I was just saying it looks a lot clearer.
Well, whatever you changed, you did great. All right, we're looking at page 144. If you're in a PDF, it's chapter 9, General Treatment Suggestions. Here we go. This list, which is on the following pages, is some of the most commonly labeled diseases and UT protocol suggestions from the classic book Golden Fountain, the complete book of urine therapy by Cohen Vanderkroot. That, by the way, Ben, was my urine therapy Bible for many years. So he's got a much more detailed list than this, but all I did was I put in the ones that people talk about and complain about the most. Other than COVID, I wasn't going to put that on the list. But okay, so that's why that list came from, in case you're curious. The beneficial effects, I'm still reading on page 144. The beneficial effects of practicing urine therapy may vary according to a client's diet, lifestyle, state of mind, and a way of being and commitment. Benefits will range from some relief to total healing, and in general, one must realize that healing is always dependent upon many cofactors. It's not a black and white statement. People say, well, will this heal this? And you have to find out more about their lifestyle. In this chapter of the manual, you will find the precise methods in detail. As was mentioned in the discussion in the whole body or body-mind healing chapter, all 4 pillars of health must be in balance to achieve optimum health. These areas include mental, emotional, physical, self-love, or spiritual. I put that in quotes because some people get triggered when you use certain words. Ben, do you understand the holistic model?
Yeah.
Okay. There are no strict, and the reason I brought that up because there are people who are raw vegans, there are people who are fruitarians, there are people who are spiritually inclined to practice, there are people who are very athletic and yet they're sick, or they're depressed, or their life isn't well because they haven't worked on all those other areas and they haven't worked on the suppressed emotions, and you've got to address everything.
Mhm.
There are no strict guidelines or rules for UT. Starting with a general basic treatment, everyone must find the application of UT which is most appropriate for their needs, and similarly, which other types of treatment should be combined with UT for the best results. Generally, in cases of chronic or serious diseases, it is useful to do an Orin fast with distilled water. And what I mean is, you can either mix it with the Orin or you just alternate between Orin and distilled water. If that wasn't clear, that's what that means. Orin enemas, navel soaks, foot soaks, Orin enemas, have regular Orin massages. This is referred to as an intensive treatment. In most cases, even when relatively healthy, this intense form of UT is highly cleansing and health giving. Now, you might have heard Monica in some of her videos talking about a 2-hour Orin massage. Well, even for me to do a 90-minute Orin massage at the retreat last month, I realized you've got to approach the body and the pressure in a different way than you use with oil, or you'll slip off their body. So for some people, the massage is just dabbing it on and rubbing it on gently so it gets in that area of the body, versus stopping slowly, trying to get in the muscle groups and the trigger points and the insertions. And that's going to take a lot more time because you got to go slower. Whenever massage is mentioned in these treatment suggestions, which are coming up on the next page, you get to decide whether to use evolving, some call maturing or cultured Orin, or fresh. Evolving Orin has more potency. The term massage generally means the gentle rubbing of Orin into the skin or applying it to the affected parts. So on these pages, page 146 to page 152, take a couple of minutes and just see if any of these conditions either apply to you or have been mentioned by some of the people you're working with. Acne, aging, AIDS, allergies, amoebas, apathy, appendicitis. We know apathetic people. They should start drinking their urine. Asthma, athlete's foot, atrophy, backache, bites, bladder, blisters, blood pressure. You can see that there are many of these that are used over and over again. Foot bath, drinking, massage, enemas, and so forth. So when someone comes up to you and they say, well, for example, I've got bites, I've got eczema, I've got a skin condition, what would you think would be a good suggestion? Anybody want to toss something out? Someone has a skin condition.
Compresses
Compresses, where?
on the affected area,
Where else?
the liver.
Bingo. And why the liver? What's its responsibility for the body?
Detoxing.
Yes, but what's its relationship to skin? It's responsible for the health of skin. A healthy liver shows in healthy skin. Okay. What would you suggest if somebody has back pain?
Enema.
Enema, why?
There's a link there between the intestines and enema and the spine.
Right. And you know why? What that connection is?
No.
The connection is that oftentimes pain in the body is misdiagnosed constipation. Because sometimes when you have a pain in the back, you go to a certain specialist, he'll say, well, you got a back problem and you got to get chiropractic or whatever. And then the person will go get an enema and the pain goes away. Or in the liver, or in the uterus, or wherever the pain manifests. Also foot soaks, also drinking, diet changes, exercise, etc. So as you go through the list, you can kind of see, when you study this enough times, it becomes, it's an intuitive art. And you get to get an idea of what people's lifestyle and what their life is all about. Ben, any questions about this list?
I guess I'm kind of interested in how the foot soak helps some of the stuff that's removed from the feet, other than it absorbs just into the body. Or
let's go over that. Thank you for bringing that up. Do you have one of these?
Yeah, I have a bunch of totes.
Okay, so it's like this is a 2-gallon version.
Mm-hmm.
And all you really need to do is put in a minimum of 2 quarts. I mean, there was some guy out of Africa who did one like 2 days ago, and he has his feet standing on the oren. It's not even on the top of the metatarsal bones at the top, and he's just using his hands and washing over it. So if you want to be a little more thorough, you want to get enough oren to cover you up to the ankle. You want to get enough to cover to right there, because you've got reproductive organs in reflexology all around the ankles.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Outside you've got, let's see, ovary, rectum. Inside you've got, or testes. Inside you've got uterus and prostate and rectum, sciatic nerve. So if you soak it all the way up to the ankle, you're going to hit the reflexology points. And if you've studied, did you ever study reflexology?
Just a little bit.
Okay, well, reflexology is the application of pressure on points. It's very similar to acupuncture, except there's no needles. So there's a reflexology system that overlaps the body, kind of like the nervous system and the lymphatic system. So when you're pressing on the points, it opens up the pathway so that the energy goes and clears up what's going on in that related point. It also is the widest pores in the entire surface of the skin is in the soles of the feet. So when you're soaking your feet in the oren, you got an awesome delivery system to get it into your blood. Right? So if you'll do that for 30 minutes, at least 30 minutes, you're going to find it very effective, not just in your body, but in your emotions. What a lot of people do is while you're got your feet in there, if you got shorts on, you just go ahead and do your calves and your shins and your knees while you're at it, and just massage all as high as you can. If you're naked in the bathtub, then you can just go all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
How many days how many times do you use the stuff for your feet soak?
I love the question. Tanya, would you like to answer that question?
What was the question? How many times?
After you've done your foot soak with your oren, how many times can you use that oren? Was that the question?
Yeah, reuse it for foot soaks.
Tanya?
How many times? You can reuse it if you want.
How many times? As much
Oh,
as
I never tried too many times.
Okay.
But I think there's no limit, right?
There's no limit. I only have one suggestion, is that when you're transferring it from the tub, unless you have the liberty of leaving it around in your bathroom and you don't have guests coming over, or you put it out in the backyard, what I do is I pour it through a strainer into a wide open jar, so that anything that comes off your foot, whether it's dirt, blood, sock lint, bugs, that doesn't go back into the next batch.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean it's contaminated, but you don't need that stuff floating around.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and then you can use it internally or externally, or you can put it in your plants.
Is it better to use older age stuff?
It is if you want the potency, the extra strength. What always gets me is when people do a single foot soak and then they throw it down the toilet. I'm going, what? at least give it to your plants or the garden. Stick it in
Yeah.
the washer.
Yeah, we don't have a garden now because we're in a temporary place, and I probably have about 7 gallons of urine stored.
Well, have you done a bath yet? Do you have a
No,
bathtub?
no. Is it pretty good if you just put like 1 gallon in there in the water? Or
Oh, in bath water?
Mhm.
It's not as effective as 100% undiluted, but it's more of a homeopathic version.
Yeah.
You're still going to get
Our
benefit.
water's chlorinated, so I try to not be exposed to it any more than I have to.
Yeah, and that gallon alone is going to neutralize the chlorine, fluoride, and all the chemicals.
Yeah.
It'll change the structure of the water. Or just do what this lovely couple does down in the corner. They get in and they pee in their water, and it's just a lovely event. So it's,
They have a piss party, let me tell you.
they have a whole pissing party there. It's great.
Yeah.
I just thought of a question. I
Yeah.
work with people who have catheters, and I read a little bit about it, and apparently they insert a tube straight into the kidney to be able to drain the urine.
Mhm.
Yeah, nephrostomy tube. Or,
It's like a colostomy bag, kind of. Or
yeah, it's a nephrostomy tube.
yeah, nephrostomy. So what would you recommend, Brother Sage, in that case? Is the kidneys actually filtering the urine at that point? Is that safe to drink?
It sounds like they just reroute it.
Yeah, usually they do that with people that have like a really big kidney stone, or if they have cancer that's growing into the ureter, so it can't drain into the bladder.
But it's still filtered, right?
through the kidney.
The kidney's still functioning. It just has to be diverted because the ureter's obstructed with something.
Okay.
As long as they didn't reroute it around the kidney, you're fine. But the kidney is what produces the urine.
Mhm.
So they can't do that. Now, when Dr. Gupta was at the hospital, they just ran it through his penis. And he had a catheter coming out that way. And what was collected in the bag, unbeknownst to the nurses, we were recycling it and putting it back on his body and in his mouth.
No.
And the nurse would come in every now and then and go, he didn't seem to urinate much. We're going,
Oh,
it's a mystery. We
he's
don't know.
dehydrated.
All right.
It-
So
it
in
was-
terms of suggesting to clients if they have this sort of bag going straight into the kidney tube, I mean, it's safe to drink.
It's safe to drink, and if they have any consideration, offer someone else's.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Sure. Does that make sense, Ben?
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, all these kind of exceptions are always seems to be coming up for me, so I'm sure you're going to hear some of these people going to do. What do you do in this exception, in this situation? You do the best you can. There's always a way around it.
Mm-hmm.
Indira, bless her heart, she brought in she had like 10-year-old Oren, and Doc Mike shows up from Chicago, and he brought his 12-year-old Oren. And we were just, every chance we got when the nurses and the staff were out of that room, in his mouth, on his body, everywhere we could. And it was looking really hopeful. I already told you, you didn't hear the story, Ben, but our one of our mentors in urine therapy, who's been at it since '84, he ends up having some kind of a lung condition. So they take him to the ER, and they said, "Oh, you've got COVID," which wasn't the case at all. And they ended up giving him 3 shots of resdesivir, which
Oh man.
killed the guy. But as long as we were giving him urine therapy, he was recovering. All of a sudden, he was talking, he was lucid, he was with us. But when we took our attention off of him and that evil staff gets their hands on the client, they got a different agenda. So he ends up dying at home. But we were secret agents. We got the water in there. All right. So any questions on these protocols? I mean, these general treatment suggestions? Just get used to it. You read it and you read it, you go back and you read it again and you go, wait a minute, let me think about it. Somebody has a so-and-so condition. I would have them drinking it. I would put it on their body, do an enema, a foot soak, and you'll get good at custom building these after a while. They'll start to make sense because they'll start overlapping. You see repeat patterns. All right, page 153. Page 153, chapter 10. You guys all on that same page?
Mhm.
Okay, here we go. Designing UT protocols and wellness practices for a client to bring radiant health. Making inquiries or probing into the lives of a client determines the direction of the session. And I want you to get used to the fact that you love these people, you care about these people. You have to be a little bit tougher than being, soft on people. Because a lot of people are on life and death situations in their mind. They're desperate. They want to know if they're going to make it. The medical profession has lied to them. They've given up on it, and you might be their last hope. So you got to get in the trenches with them. You know what I'm talking about? You can't be afraid to ask the tough questions. I may ask people, do you want to live or do you want to die? Oh, you want to live? Good. Roll up your sleeves. This is what we got to do. Are you going to listen and pay attention and follow my advice? I'll pass you over to Doc Mike. All right, here we go. Inquiring helps you understand a holistic overview of their life as a way of building protocols, practices, and a program that brings the results that they came to you to achieve. Just telling people to drink their water and try UT protocols, sending them away to figure it all out, not only does a disservice to the client, but they will have a much harder journey when only approaching health from only the physical or the material form. Here are some sample questions for new clients to contemplate as well as to answer. What motivated you to start practicing UT? Was it a book, a person, an illness? You can write in the word curiosity if you want. Who or what was your influence? Because some people they heard about it, like Ben. They heard about it, they saw a video and go, what is this? It's intriguing. What went through your mind when you were considering actually drinking your pee? This is crazy. This is crazy. I saw Tanya do it, but I'm going to try it. You might want to go back sometime and look at what happened in your head right before you said bottoms up. Can you recall any defining moments that stood out that inspired your decision? What mental obstacles, if any, did you have to overcome to take the first drink? Was it the coaxing of your friend, or was it an intuitive knowing that maybe they're right? And maybe the doctors got it wrong. What mental obstacles did you have to take to overtake the first drink? Was it easy or difficult for you to do this? Did you have any feelings like a gag reflex to overcome or feelings of disgust? A lot of people are willing to admit that. What UT protocols are you currently practicing and which do you use every day? Now, I use this word practice for a reason. Because if you want to know if something will work for you, you have to practice it and practice it and practice it and practice it. That's why it's called a practice. I've been chanting for 40 years. I know what chanting can do for me. I've been doing raw foods for 43 years. I know what it can do for me. You have to put it into practice and build it into your lifestyle to really know the benefits. Otherwise, it's another been there, done that kind of thing. And hopefully this doesn't fall into that category for you guys. Take a breath. Have you tried a variety of UT protocols? Which are your favorites and why? Page 155. What did you study or what are you studying to further your UT education? Are you guys doing that? Continually studying, researching, finding out something you didn't know a month ago?
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden, Kate Stillman shows up on the scene. Amanda Vollmer shows up on the scene. Dr. Group shows up on the scene. And these guys went down another research hole I didn't go. And I'm learning stuff from all of these guys. I'm still learning from Monica. So, and Harry, there's always something new. Would you say that you are passionate and outspoken about Shivambu? Are you serious about telling others about your UT discovery and personal success with UT? How has daily UT practices affected your life? Do you think that you will ever consider that you might stop doing this practice? No, thank you. I'm glad we recorded that. I just want to get a clip of that one scene, right? No. Don't have me ask me that question ever. Can you explain the transition that people go through in order to get the most from practicing UT? For example, food choices, lifestyle, mental changes, or beliefs about oneself. By now, since you guys have been studying health and nutrition and food and how it affects the chemistry of your mind and of your body, you can see how it's either improved the quality of people's lives or been slowly poisoning and deteriorating their health. But most of the people who will come into your life were never taught this stuff. They don't know about chemistry, composition, everything, how food works. So you got to let them know that just because their buddy is eating meat doesn't mean you should eat it. Or their buddy is eating dairy products, they're eating synthetic substances, etc., etc. I didn't mean to bash any meat eaters, so please don't take that the wrong way. What advice would you give to newbies about taking that most important first step? Anybody want to answer that one?
Mm-hmm.
What advice would you give to someone brand new that could possibly help them to decide to take that first drink?
I think probably one important thing is to be really well hydrated, because the dehydrated stuff can be pretty strong.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to do the first drink.
Okay. And how do you suggest people do that? Get more hydrated?
Just drink lots of distilled water, or eat a lot of watermelon or
Fruit?
something.
Yeah. A watermelon, great because it's got high water content. The one question that I already taught this class, and you might have heard this before, ask the person, can you keep an open mind?
Yeah.
What I'm about to tell you has proved itself to a billion people on this planet over thousands and thousands of years. And if you can keep an open mind and hear something I'm about to tell you in a new way so that you can receive the gift that it has for you, then you know why it's going to benefit you.
Some people, sometimes I'll tell people and then they ask me later, they're like, you weren't really serious when you told me about that, were you?
Yeah, what'd you tell them?
I said, yeah, and they're like, no way.
Yeah. So that means they're interested. That means they're curious.
Yeah.
You keep doing your practice and you show them what a healthy, can I ask your age?
51.
All right. They want to see what a healthy 51-year-old looks like. And they're going to come back to you. Ben, can you guess what my age is?
Well, I think I figured it out because I saw that in something you wrote, but.
Okay, I'm 68. Do I look it?
No.
No, I don't age. I don't practice that. It's a concept. But they're looking for you to walk your talk and to prove that this works. And they're going to come back to you later and go, my God, you look great. And then if they forget that you told them why you look great, you can remind them, because I practice Shivambu. Here's a glass. Let's get started now. A buddy of mine, Anthony A.K. King, the one who put together the Water of Life Symposium, he's big in the blues jazz world with all these musicians. So he took one of his musician buddies into the men's bathroom, and he peed into a cup in front of them. They're both standing at the urinal. He pees into the cup. He says, you know what I'm about to do? He goes, you're fucking nuts. He said, I may be, but this will save your life. I've been doing this for 15 years. It's time you learned my secret. And he got his buddy to drink it for the first time, even though the guy was like kicking and screaming. You got to be nuts. I said, yeah, but what if I'm right? So you might have a softer approach.
Love it. Very inspirational.
You gotta love the absurdity though, or the shock and awe and the reaction, And if you're so bold and blatant about it, I think, yeah, that can help break down people's barriers about it too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you come out with that much certainty like I do, and they say, you're kidding, right? I said, do I look like I'm kidding? Does this look like a face that's joking with you? No. Well, I do joke a lot, but no, this is serious. And people will get that after they know you for a while. And you can point them to books, you can point them to social media platforms. They can do a lot of research. Or you can save them time and give them the handbook. Let them do their own research.
Just planting seeds. I love planting seeds. The job's done. When I plant a seed a day.
Yep. And you're going to get a call from somebody in about 3 weeks or a month that says, I am so glad I listened to you. My life has kept improving since I started. Kudos. Thank you for being willing to tell me. Because for some people, it's an act of courage. You know, because you're laying your reputation on the line that they might ridicule you and they may reject you and you might lose a good friend. Or you might have saved a life.
Yeah.
So it's all your approach to the subject. Let me see what we can read right now. Page 156. We're going to read a little bit more and then we're going to quit here. Now, what we've been doing in the last, say, 5 to 10 minutes, Ben, is I shut off the recording and the students can talk about any subject they want to, regardless how controversial or how commonplace it is. You can talk about whatever you want because I like bringing that stuff on. So let's go to page 156. And this is the reason why I've been writing these books, is to bridge the gap between new people who still have a negative association or they've been brainwashed and programmed by the medical world back in the early 1900s to forget that their body has the ability to heal itself and liberate you. So here you go, chapter 11, clearing the mind of all negative associations, beliefs, or ideas about UT, including suggestions, theories, and myths taught to you, especially by the medical industry. Learning a client's beliefs about urine and if they ever consider drinking their pee gives you a clearer picture of which direction to take the conversation and initial consultation. Beatrice Barnett, in her book, The Miracles of Urine Therapy, offers a good approach to handling aversions to drinking urine. Throughout the civilized world, blood and blood products are being used in the medical world without evoking the repugnance associated with urine. We use prepackaged cells, blood plasma, white blood cells, and countless other blood components. Urine is nothing other than a blood plasma product. Babies are being breastfed, and we easily accept this, along with the common practice of eating dairy products. Yet, we cannot imagine drinking urine. Fresh urine contains the same substances as those found in the blood. If you think about it, urine is ultrafiltered blood plasma water. Pee was part of your blood just minutes before and flowed elsewhere through your body, possibly over your tongue and through your tongue. Since urine is not poisonous or disgusting while in the body, why is it considered so repulsive as piss? You think that'd be a good question to ask people? Would you say that your blood is self-contained, sterile environment? Your blood plasma? Well, yes. All right. So when the body takes it and runs it through the nephron system and filters it over 1.2 million times until it's ultra-filtered blood plasma water, and then it comes out of your body as urine, what had changed? Did anything change? No, it's still sterile. And it's just more amplified in its nutritional components. Overcoming objections in a sensitive and compassionate manner is critical to a successful UT session. Anyone who criticizes or challenges you about urine therapy, whether someone who calls into a radio show while you are being interviewed, known as a heckler or a troll, I had my share of those, that's why I know, is someone who never did their research and is repeating what they have been taught about Orin. So when somebody comes to you, all you guys, though I was looking at Ben, someone comes up to you and says, well, isn't Orin a waste product? I was told it was it was a waste product. Your first question should be, where did you get that idea from? Because most people are sheep. Most people just repeat what they're told. They don't do their research. And if you decide to argue with a non-pee drinker, you'll win because you did your homework and you know they didn't. So you're either likely to win them over or they're going to cut and run.
Yeah, I like Armstrong's quote about it. He says in nature, like there isn't any waste. Plants die and then the new plants use that to grow. So it's kind of recycling to drink urine.
Yeah.
In a sense.
I noticed when I was out back doing my foot soaks that the flies couldn't stay away. They were landing the Orin. They were swimming the Orin. I think one did a backflip. They just love that water.
I think of it kind of like a closed system too, like the earth, it's like the rain gets evaporated, it goes up to the mountains, it comes down the river and then goes back to the ocean. I mean, it never leaves planet,
Yeah.
Yep. Tanya?
Yes, I'd like to add something to this. I'm a permaculture designer, and the fundamental teaching is that there is no such place as away, like throwing something away doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot throw it off the earth.
Mm-hmm.
And there is no waste. And yeah, in connection with gardening, but it's in connection with everything. So also the urine. That's why what you all said is true, makes sense. There is no such place as a way. It's all cycles. What you call waste is food for someone else.
Mm-hmm. Or some other being or whatever.
Yeah.
That makes sense, everybody?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we got another 5 minutes. Let's keep reading here. 5 or so minutes. Since Orin is not poisonous or disgusting, then why is it when it comes out of your body? Overcoming objections in a sensitive, compassionate manner is critical. I already read that part. And a troll is someone who never did their research. Bottom of 157. This way, you never take their words, their energy, or their emotions personally, and you can hold your ground while confidently responding to them. And if you haven't been in a situation where somebody is apparently attacking your practice or your use of urine therapy, you might get some opportunities to have that. And if it happens, you're going to stand your ground because you're certain because of your practice. You know what you have. They just don't know. And when they know, it's a whole new world. All right, page 158. Bring it on, baby. Some of the concerns or mental objections, obstacles that have been overcome about drinking Orin has included the following. I've always thought it was a waste product. Why would anybody want to drink their pee? They're secretly wondering if you are a trusted or credible source. They seem to be waiting for guidance from the inner voice to decide about working with you. These are the pillars of health and well-being: mental, emotional, physical, and self-love. It is to your advantage, dear readers, to take this teaching to heart and design a personal daily program of practices for you first. After being a product of discipline, you will know how to assist your clients in finding their way. What will they, my parents, siblings, children, partners, think of me if I become a pee drinker? How many people have a partner or a relative that you're having to keep this from? Get a lot of that in the water family community. Oh, I don't want my husband to know. Or my wife judges me. Or my kids might think I'm a hook, or a nut. And you have to sort that out as soon as you can.
Yeah, my kids joke about it all the time.
Yeah, they joke about it, and then how do you respond to them joking about it?
Oh, I don't mind it. Like,
Do you want to drop a few seeds into their thinking that maybe Dad's figured it out and he's onto something, or you just laugh it off and internalize it?
mm,
Because it might be a good idea to just find conversations with the students in this class and with Hut and some other places, because a lot of people find they get uh, more comfortable with their practice and more comfortable with their family by having someone to discuss it with.
yeah, I mean, they don't say anything like disparaging about it. They just like think, they just say like, I wonder what's on Dad's mind, drinking aged urine or something like that.
Yeah, well, all I'm looking at is if you're really feeling comfortable with their comments and you're not secretly harboring any kind of resentment or anything,
Oh no.
and you don't feel like it's separating you because Dad's got his own unique hobby.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Remind the client, page 159. We're going to come to a stop here. Remind the client that what they think about themselves matters most. What others think about you is none of your business. This is also a life lesson. Your work will include acknowledging and giving them recognition, empowering them, and reminding them the truth about themselves. And these last couple statements, I'll just read through them pretty quickly so we can come to a close here. I'm going to feel embarrassed and think that others are criticizing me. Once again, give client reassurance that they're okay just the way they are. Are you nuts? Are you in a cult? It's another trust issue. You got to understand what's underneath what they're saying. So you give them reassurance. Is it safe? It's another trust issue. It all seems to be coming back to that. Give reassurance. I have been drinking my pee for many years and I feel greater every day. 30 million people, which is closer to a billion now, worldwide are alive and well because they drink their wee every day. Does that tell you anything? We're going to stop here today. Any comments about what was read today, what was taught today, or what you didn't get answered today? You're making my work too easy.
I've had my fair share of being attacked online, hard out, and in real life, and I just turn it around and go thank Shivambu because I drink it, and somehow it just like washes this grace and patience, over me. In my experience, I find that I can still be loving to the very people who are attacking me. So yeah, it's
Yeah, I've seen some of her stuff, and people have been really harsh, like calling her a clown and like taking time out of their day to make a meme about these pissy clowns, and I mean they probably spent at least a half an hour or an hour just to dog on it.
Just to
Yeah.
build.
You took the thumbnail that you used for the World Urine Therapy conference calls and changed all of our faces to a bunch of clowns. It's beautiful artwork. I mean,
Yeah. So you're not necessarily dodging them or being triggered by them. You're doing great. Or you could talk to them, say, "Do you need a hug? You sound like you're having a tough day. You're having to, come down on people. What's the deal?
You sound like you need some pee.
You sound like you're pee deficient. Yeah, why don't you go down, sit down, I'll pee on you. You guys need a baptism. It changed everything."
Yeah.
So I'm going to turn off the recording.